Hello everyone. Welcome. Let's see. Hi, Kristen. Thanks for being here. We are going, of course, get real today. So let me share my screen as we let people in and give people time. I know it's just right at noon. Hopefully you can make it. And okay. All right, we'll give it another minute, and then I am going to have a poll up ready for you to take as you get ready. So I hope everyone is having a great, was it Tuesday? We were talking before everybody got on here that Thanksgiving is next week. Well, it flew by, but we're also ready. So hopefully you have busy plans. I know we all do. But
yeah, I think I've got like 3 Thanksgivings. So that'll be.
That's enough, right?
Yeah. Like family, friends, other friends, family, neighbors, friends. That's what I'm doing.
Family members, friends. I like it. That's a good pace to have. All right. Well, I'm going to join in. Oh, I got Kristen is getting Thanksgiving dinner at a sports bar. Oh, yeah. You're in Barcelona. So you got to make your own Thanksgiving plans, right? Of like what to get. Hopefully someone has turkey. All right. So let's get real. This is going to be your framework for authentic creative. But before we really do start, I'm going to pop up a poll. And I wanted you to look at how much of your marketing creative content is from generic stock images or AI generated. You got different percentages here. Take a look. And we'll pause as more people also come. The polls question, bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see a little box that says polls. You can click there and answer. Okay. Okay, we have results coming in. I do find this very interesting. Okay, 10 more seconds. All right. So the results we're seeing right now is that 80%, over 80% are 25. So we use it as little with mostly human and real generated content. There is some 50%, but what we're seeing really is a lot of you guys are not fully using all in on AI, but also not all in on, not able to be completely authentic. So one more poll question. For those of you using mostly or generic or AI generated content, how has it impacted your marketing? So if you do, I know most of you are not. So if you are using AI or, very generic content, how is it impacting your marketing results? Okay. We're getting some answers in. That's great. All right. Okay. Keep answering the polls. If you just joined us, go ahead and add in your vote. Right now, over 50% are saying it's a mixed bag. So maybe engagement is up because we're posting more, but sales haven't increased. So that's a really interesting look at, say, yeah, we are seeing more engagement because we're able to produce more, but not necessarily means that it is helping the bottom line. Okay. We did also get a little bit of, well, don't know, which I think is understandable. We have one that says it is actually hurt any engagement or results, anything. And so very good to see. Well, and I haven't introduced myself, so I will do that now. I am Lindy, the digital strategist here at Fungi Marketing. And I do want to say everything you see here is real. This is my dog, Gertie, my actual workspace. These are some mushrooms I took a picture of last week. I had to include mushrooms. And today I wanted to show you that authenticity does matter. And I'm going to show you the framework that we use to bring it into marketing. So throughout the call, you can drop a question. It's down there by the chat. You can see a button that's called questions, and we'll go through those at the end. You'll see here also Mary Beth is here. She's our project manager. She's going to be in the chat. If you have any questions, she will help you out. And then Ryan Forrest is the CEO. He is here and will join me for the Q&A at the end. Yes, you will get a recording of this at the end in a follow-up email. Okay, let's start with a little bit of fun. Take a look at these ad examples. Can you tell which ones are AI in stock versus real photos? Okay, I'm guessing your answer is, yeah, I can see the difference. Pretty clear, because this baby holding the tiny money is just like, I don't know, there's something about it. So this is just an example of your AI radar. You're picking up things when you're seeing them out there, and you might not have words to put to it, but it's a feeling that you feel. And it's not just, so it's like this AR blip that you might, internally feeling it, but not only you feeling it and I feel it, but our customers are feeling it. And when customers feel AI radar, they are not just scrolling past your content, but they're actually building distrust. Not just building distrust in your ad, but in your entire brand. And that's where trouble starts, right? So why is everyone using AI in stock content? Well, because it's easy, it's cheap, and it's fast. And I get it, and I know this, that we're all really busy and budgets are tight. It is cut faster to make content with AI and push it out there. But here's what's actually happening is that when everything online is rapidly becoming the same homogenized fluff, every HVAC company looks the same, every lawyer sounds the same, and every chiropractor has the same stock photos. So consumers are noticing. Their AI radar is going off, and they're thinking, this looks cheesy, fake, and lazy. And then they move on. And lazy brands don't win business. But here's the thing, and this is where things are getting interesting. 46% of people want brands to be authentic. Now, this stat comes from GWI, a consumer insights firm. So even if just half of your audience feels this way, that's a massive opportunity being missed by those brands that are chasing AI perfection, because people aren't just choosing products, they gravitate towards brands that reflect their worldview. They mirror their values, and they also feel human in the process. So this is what I'm seeing. The brands that are winning right now are the ones making it easy to trust by using real people, real moments, and real stories. Okay, well, let me show you what I mean. In late 2024, Starbucks had a company-wide initiative from the top down that was back to Starbucks. The marketing team took that and created the Hello Again marketing campaign. This was it was surrounded by a Super Bowl commercial, and I just have a snapshot of it here. And it showcases everything in here are real employees, real locations, and real moments. They have brought in real customers, and they've launched this ad across lots of different platforms and channels and mediums. But what it's really telling me is that when companies with Starbucks budget is choosing authenticity over AI perfection, it tells us that where the market is headed. Okay, well, I love this campaign, and I hope you go and find it and listen to it. I think it's wonderful. You might also be thinking what I'm thinking is great for Starbucks. They have the budget. So let's look at a local example. Now we have Central Electric. We've been working with them for a couple years, and we're looking at their Bright Idea Grant campaign. Bright Idea grants are for teachers and schools for the Central Electric to give back to their members and help bring more into the community. Now you can see that in their top example here, this was an older ad. which is pretty, what we see a lot is that it is a stock image. This is before AI really came around. So this is a stock image of just some teacher, but it didn't really feel like any teacher anybody knew. The student maybe not, is that really what they're doing in the classroom? And so here's what we did, is that we took featured photos from real teachers that are past winners. We took them, these were all taken on smartphones, and we did a whole series. This is just one example of the ads. They're not professional shots, but they really worked out great because what we saw was 112% increase in applications. So this single one campaign helped us see that real local imagery can drive real conversions. And it also, bonus was to boost reach and engagement. Okay. So now we can get into the real framework. I do want to pause before we get too into the framework. And I want to say that here at Fungi, we do love AI just as much as everybody else. And it has its place. It's really great with helping with creative brainstorming and some development, but in this world where we're seeing that marketing is becoming oversaturated with the same boring fluff, we're going to start to see that the novelty of AI generated content is going to wear off. And brands who go authentic with real content will continue to build stronger relationships and attract more customers. Now, today you will find a worksheet as well in the links tab, and we will also send it in the follow-up email. And this is a worksheet I want you to take with you. You don't need to pull it up right now, but take it with you as you work on this and you want to do your assessment over the next couple of weeks. It's going to guide you through the framework and give you actionable steps that you can take. So let's jump into the real framework. We'll start with R. This is reality check. This is where I want you to go and audit your current creative across all touch points. You're going to be looking at your website, your social media presence, look at the 1 to 3 month period of what you guys have been doing. You might be looking at ads, all your email content, sales material. Now, during this time when you're building this audit, you're making notes. You're not judging, you're just auditing, right? In this audit, I want you to identify what are stock photos, AI generated content, but also look at for generic corporate copy. And I want to call that one out because with a lot of the AI fluff that is out there, generic corporate copy can be thought of as AI, and the AI radar starts going off if people are seeing it over and over again. So it's something to mark down as well. Next, I want you to ask yourself, does this look and sound like our actual brand or just a brand? I think that is an indicator of just, can someone else slap the logo on here and we don't know the difference? Something to just think about and mark down as you're auditing and you're checking and see what you guys have been doing. Now you can also mark down in your reality check for quick wins. Find the most obvious offenders first. So examples of that could be your homepage hero. So the top image on your homepage, if it's really doesn't feel like real and authentic, that may be a quick win you can do. Maybe there's some top ads that are out there or welcome email headers. Just mark them down as things that you think could be an easy win for your team. We're going to look at real in action with a chiropractor in Greensboro. This is Healing Hands, and we worked with them for many years. And over that time, they've changed their process and their team, and they've actually moved to a new location. And what we started to see was that the website had a big disconnect to what was happening inside when you walk through the front door. You are not seeing the rooms or the people that you're going to be talking to. And also what I noticed is that this could be any chiropractor anywhere. These kind of like very generic pictures, while they were easy to kind of pick and use, they don't tell the story of what to expect when you get there. So how is a chiropractor supposed to stand out and win more business? Okay. So we'll keep going through this as seeing what Healing Hands did through this process. Okay, so now we did R. We know what needs to change. Now let's talk about where we need to focus first. And that is E, examine impact. When you're examining the impact of this work, I do want you to stop and look at the strategic direction to go in first. We look at this in two different ways of full force or baby steps. When we're looking at full force, we're looking at, do you have executive buy-in? This is where you're going to have budget allocated and you're ready to do a all-in transformation. That might look like a changing your brand foundation, your website, your core marketing material, across the teams, everybody has a different look or things you want to incorporate. Now, this typically is faster, but includes a much higher investment. Now, for baby steps, this might be where you have to prove ROI with small wins, which then can build internal momentum. This would look like testing on social media with organic content, maybe an email or a single ad campaign where you can get real results back that you can then report on. Now, this is a little bit lower risk, but it helps you build that case that if you need to bring someone in, you can have that, you'll have the story to back you up. I do want to say this decision does matter, but neither of them is a wrong direction. It depends on where your company goals are on what you are going to choose here. Okay, as we continue to examine the impact, I want you to look at the data. This is where you're going to put down your baseline metrics, watch them, think about ways that you can improve what pages or content or placements you can improve on. Maybe you think something has really had high or should have higher engagement than it does, or you're not getting the good positive feedback on pieces. That could be a great indicator that that's where you need to start on your roadmap. While you're building this roadmap, you may also want to talk across teams. What I hear and see sometimes is that marketing and advertising wants it for them, but maybe HR has a use case for it too. And when you can build that together and you can build something that a lot of people can use, you're going to have a better impact going into it in the end. So this is going to be your roadmap. You're going to now have, what kind of approach can you take? Are you needing to go kind of like bigger? Are you needing to build yourself a case? Do you have what touch points are really important for your company? And this shows you what needs to get done and where you can focus that direction. When we look at Healing Hands, we were starting to see lower than expected engagement. You can see a social media ad, while it had some engagement on it, it wasn't as high. Now, these are great stock photos, but they were maybe a little too polished in the stock photo world, right? And we also noticed that their homepage, the engagement on their homepage was pretty low. So that was what helped us build a roadmap based off of these observations. And this roadmap then helped us say, well, these are upcoming ad campaigns we want to focus on, and then these are the website developments. These are the kind of imagery that we are going to need, and then you kind of copy content updates that we need to do. Okay, I do want to get to the fun part, which is asset creation. Okay, I know everybody likes this part. Before you actually, get out the camera and start taking pictures, I highly encourage everybody to have one person or a small team take internal ownership. Have a project manager that is making the checklist, having the conversations, building the plan for the day, and they're throughout the whole process. You might not think about having conversations about what outfits to wear, what seasonality we need to think about, what kind of small things need to be noticed. This person needs to take ownership of all of that and be part of the process the whole time. Now, as you're doing this, you can also time to think about, do you need a professional photographer, or can you have someone internally or bring in an outside person that can just take them with your phone? They both work and they really can. We've seen it in the results and ads too, that both of them help and make sure that they can work. But what really matters is that the content is real, that they're real people and real places. So now it's time to actually plan your photo shoot. I want you to focus on having real employees, real workspaces, and real customer interactions. So that is talking internally to people who are willing to be models and come in on a day and do this. You're going to be using the actual workplace that people are going to walk in. So if customers are coming in the front door, what does that look like? If they're sitting in a chair or in the shop or in the conference room, let's see those places where they're going to be interacting with you. It's also a good idea to bring in actual customers as well. Call up some of your favorite customers, have them come in and be a part of it so that you're not just using employees. And then while you're doing that and you're taking the photos that day, have your photographer take a variety. So headshots, team collaboration, if that's standing around talking, interacting with each other. Also workplace shots. So like we talked about, bringing them in the front door. What does that look like? Sitting in the office, having those conversations, but also in action. So doing the things together and showing that, or showing your actual products and getting nice shots of those. Now in your asset creation, I know a lot of today we're talking about photos, but I do want you to take time to include authentic copy development. Use real customer language. Real customer language could look like going to your Google reviews or the survey that you have done with your current customers, pulling out actual words and copy from them to develop messaging to attract more people like them. Talk to your real employees. They know a lot of what's going on and they're going to be creating, they're going to know what kind of voice to use. And all of this is going to help you create a real brand stories that you're going to be able to use over and over again. Okay, so you have all your assets, you got everything together. I do want you to build an asset library that you're going to share. You can share it across departments. When one person owns this and becomes siloed, that can become really difficult for other team members to feel like they can use it. Or if it's, working with social media or your agency, giving access to everybody is really beneficial to make sure that you're getting the most out of this framework. So options are to use your Google Drive or Dropbox. They're both great cloud sources to save your assets. So back with Healing Hands and the chiropractor, we did set up a one-day photo shoot and captured the real team with the real patients across different settings of their whole building. And this is who you're going to meet when you walk in that door, and this is where you're going to be. Now you can even see a few of these before and after shots. I think you can kind of tell the difference, right, of what's going on. I like to see the doctor smiling faces and the patients who actually come in the door. So now we have our authentic photos and we have the copy. And this is going to be my favorite time, is when we actually launch. So L is for launch. There's a few different ways we can start here. I do like to start safe, and I would encourage you to look at doing that in a few different ways where you can use it in organic social content and email. These are lower risk, but you also get fast feedback. If you're posting a great post on Facebook and Instagram that you're getting in customer engagement on, maybe that's going to give you the fuel to then scale. You're going to get that instant feedback, not instant, but pretty quick feedback from them. When you then start to scale, you're going to go back to your roadmap and look, what are those high impact pages? Where can we actually test and put this into action? There's an opportunity here to look at paid advertising. Something like an A/B test, a short run test could look at doing maybe your original stock photo that you had versus an authentic one, and test it, and then you'll have some data to back up if it works for you. I do want you to track performance. You're going to be monitoring a lot of the performance you're going to track depends on your company goals and your marketing goals. So you're going to be monitoring engagement, looking at conversion rates, looking at time on site, and also ad performance. Those are just a few ways to look at that. And from here, you're learning, right? You're going to learn from that data. You're going to refine, and then you can go back through the whole process again and take what you did the first time and, keep making it better. So for Healing Hands, we did a couple different things. We did start with a soft launch. And you can see we got much higher engagement on these social ads where we used pictures from their team inside of their building with real customers in it. And they actually took these photos themselves. They continue to take photos and use them across different platforms after we've had the photo shoot and started working on those things. We also have we're working on a hard launch, and I want to showcase this new website we've been working on. Let me jump over to this tab. Make it bigger. So in here, you can see the new, not yet launched, but we're working on the new Healing Hands website. And already we can see right away, we're going to have a picture of one of the providers, an actual customer that comes in. And as we keep going down this list, we're seeing this is what it looks like when you walk in the door. You now know what to expect if you were to show up there, who you're going to talk to, see different services they offer, and start to maybe ask more questions so that when you call or you're ready to make that appointment, you know what to see. Okay. That's it. That's the full circle, but I want to do a quick recap. One, I want you to go back and remember to use the downloadable guide we're going to be sharing with you to do your audit and identify areas for opportunity for your content. Next, you'll plan which content you want to create. You don't need to go all in the beginning. You can take steps to go in what's going to have great impact. Then you want to determine your baseline metrics to compare results against. If you're not comparing, you're not going to know if it actually worked, and to build the case to do it again and again. Then you can identify and secure creative assets. That could be internal or external. That's photographers, videographers, copywriters, designers, anything to get it into market and out there. Then you're going to create and launch the content. And of course, gather the data, optimize and iterate for continuous improvement based on audience feedback. Okay, before we finish up, I do have one more poll. So does your company already have creative professionals to help with things like photography, videography, and design? Okay, we're getting a few answers in. Thank you for including that. We're in the bit of a sort of, and I think that's pretty typical. So that's good to see. Now, if Fungi is here to help with that, if you need help with content audit and strategy, that's something we can do. Of course, if you have creative asset library development, we work with some great photographers and videographers and copywriters that can help bring it all together. And then implementation and ongoing management of, getting it on the website and advertising and social media, everything we can do, we can help you with as well. If you have anything that you see here that you want to have more questions on, you can email any of us, me, Ryan, Mary Beth. You can also reply to the emails that you get from us. They come right into our inbox. We'll get back to you and get connected. Okay, so that is the framework, and it is time for any questions that we have.
I can lead us off. Mary Beth, did you want to read off some of the questions in the
Yeah.
question area? And then I know we've got a few that we get pretty often that we can also answer, time permitting. But feel free, anybody else that has a question, feel free to drop those into
Yeah,
the.
we've gotten some good questions, like as y'all were going through. I'll start with this one that Connie had asked, and she just said, how do you mitigate having to redo content that might include an employee who leaves the organization under negative circumstances?
We've had more significant challenges than that. We actually recently had to do a whole new video shoot for a company who rebranded, and they had a bunch of like branding and all like stuff on their trucks and everything. So that was quite a challenge. I do think, I mean, having photo release forms just from like a legal protection standpoint is great. If you have a situation where things have gone south and there's maybe more of a public issue, that I would recommend probably removing them from your image library. But one of the things that we found is like getting a variety of shots and angles with a variety of different people, so that if you've got multiple customer service reps, go ahead and get a few shots of each as opposed to just one of that individual representative. And similarly, getting angles of people maybe more from the side, not necessarily direct on their face, can also be helpful.
Yeah. Another question we had said, for the audit, should we also consider having someone outside of our business giving us feedback on how the content feels in case we are biased?
I think that's a great opportunity. It could also be the second time around. So if you're looking at it and you don't have the capacity, you can't quite do that right away, but having an outside source give you that feedback is of course a great idea. There's opportunities to even bring in a group of people to look at it anonymously as well, to give you, sometimes that honest feedback can only come in that direction. So I love that idea.
I mean, I think looking at asking customers their opinions, asking vendors their opinions, and certainly agencies like ours can help with auditing performance of different campaigns. Even if you already have some assets that you want to test, we could run some split testing, A/B testing on your old stuff versus your new stuff to see what's resonating with people. Absolutely.
Ryan, that actually is a perfect segue, because one of the questions we got was about A/B testing, and it said, "What are some of the best metrics to compare if we're testing old versus new? What are we looking at? What's the granular level?"
Yeah, I mean, can I jump in, or do you want to talk?
Go ahead.
Sorry. I think at the end of the day, the metrics to test is going to probably bubble up to what are your organizational goals, but some of the more common ones from like a advertising perspective might be having, engagement. Has engagement on the ads improved? Are you getting more likes, shares, comments? And at the end of the day, for us, it's more like how many people are clicking through, what's your click-through rate on an ad, and how many people on, say, a landing page are converting. And so I think using that kind of information of like how engaged is the audience with what you're putting out there. There's a bunch of different metrics like click-through rates and engagement rates, conversion rates that can help you determine whether or not it's effective.
And Lindy, do you have a recommendation as far as what platform, if we're going to do these A/B, what platform should we start with as we're testing this new creative?
Yeah, I do like to start on the smaller side in terms of maybe it's a lighter lift. And so when you're looking at organic social media, that could be, I would pick your top platform. Don't try to do it. You don't have to do them all. But if that's Facebook and Instagram or LinkedIn, these could be an opportunity, because also I like that you get reactions and comments, and maybe you can share it with a few people, say, what do you think of this versus what we've done before? So opportunity there.
Yeah. Someone else said, I know we want to be authentic, but should we still do some things to spruce up the quality of the content? such as your lighting, your clutter. You know, I think Linda, you
Oh.
touched on this a little bit as far as having someone in charge of like what outfits is everyone wearing? Is there something on the wall, a poster, you know, that you maybe don't want, you know, something that ages it? I know we talked about before about calendars, and you don't want the date in the frame.
Yeah, those are good examples. And I think there is kind of having the lighting, I think, is always important as well, and kind of practice with that. Use natural lighting as much as possible. There are going to be times when that doesn't work. So just pay attention to the shadows. It's these fine details that you may not notice in the moment, and later you're like, oh. And the having that one person be in charge and taking control of that is really helpful, because a day of event, and I know Ryan can probably speak to this a lot is going on. A lot is moving pieces. And so having somebody being like, no, I need you to either like put on a sweater instead of the short sleeves, you know, like have those seasonality things, or let's swap out that laptop because this one looks a little dated or dingy, and then let's put something else in its place. So the producer, right? That I think of this as like your TV producer. They need to come in and do that. And then everybody needs to know that they're doing it so that we feel like what we're doing is quality, and that this is your foot forward into the community or into your customers' lives of we are putting out quality products and services, and we show that with our content.
I think there's two sides to this coin, because one, like candid materials that are just shot on an iPhone at like some public event, or you know, in-house, or videos, you know, shot with, you know, like decent resolution, I think can be very endearing and open up your community to your internal culture or how you interact out in the world. And so I think that there's certainly a place for that. Like, don't be afraid to just, you know, get like really real, authentic materials. And then subsequently, yeah, on the more produced side of things, you definitely want, I mean, usually when we're doing a shoot coordinated with a photographer and a videographer, we'll have at least one member of our team also there. That person can have the shot list, you know, coordinate kind of behind the scenes, maybe get the next scene set up if we're shooting a facility or people interacting. And I think, and prepping too, folks, because a lot of people, kind of to Connie's point earlier, you might have people that they might be nervous about being on camera or not want to be on camera, or they might, it might be a scenario where they need to maybe do something in a certain way for it to have the effect that you're going for. So all of that can go into the process, and it can make it kind of stressful for people. But having a couple of coordinators, your internal staff coordinator, an external partner, kind of producer person, like Lindy had said, and then of course the photographer and videographer is going to also be able to help guide that. We'll all make that more polished.
Yeah. Because someone said, can you help us with ideas for photos and videos? Like, I'm not sure where to start. And so Fungi definitely can be a partner for that. If you have questions, if you don't know where to start, or you know you need one, we can definitely help coordinate that and be that producer for you.
The handbook could be a great starting point. I encourage everybody to download that and, you know, print it off, and just, you know, if you're looking for a sort of baseline framework to get started, because it has questions and space for you to kind of notate what are the different kind of shots and things that we're looking for. And then certainly, yes, if you're already wearing several hats, as we know most marketing, sales, and communications people are, we'd love to help.
Yeah. And then I had this question: how long does it take to do a brand photo or video shoot? Is it going to disrupt our business very much? Ryan, do you want to take that one?
There's going to be some disruption. To my point earlier, people probably don't want you up in their business when they're trying to do their job. But I think typically we schedule 1 to 2 shoots. 2 is more preferable because it allows us to capture on day one, like kind of all the core things. And then on day two, anything that we might have missed, or if we need to reshoot assets. So I would say typically planning on 2 days to do a video and photo shoot is going to be most beneficial. Plus, it also allows you to get a variety of people within your organization or products or services, or if you need to go out to a customer and film them, all of those things. It's hard to do all that in one day, but I will say doing it in 2 days kind of limits the amount of disruption to everyone. But definitely letting people know internally, hey, the photographer's coming tomorrow, be dressed up and ready. And it'll be, companies like ours can help set that expectation. We can set an expectation for about how long we think it's going to take for each individual or group of people.
And I would say too, it's, we're not, the idea of having a good shot list so that you get everything you want in one disruption or 2 disruption days, so that way you're not having to do a photo shoot every quarter. Hopefully you take one and it can last you a little bit of time. So you're not having to repeat it frequently.
Yeah.
Let me see. One more question just came in. What if our website is too generic and corporate? Can you help us with that? Not just photos, but like you talked some about the corporate copy, Lindy. So is that something Fungi can help with as well?
Yeah, it is working on just building that brand voice and then into brand copy and using that in those high places like your website homepage, your about page, like building those stories, talking to your real customers and building all that. So we can definitely help with that as well.
All right. Well, that is all the questions that I see. Anything else, Lindy or Ryan, that you wanted to make sure we touched on?
I just want to reiterate that we love AI and we're totally using it just like everybody else, maybe in our own unique ways. And it has its place. I think it has really transformed the marketing space in particular, marketing communications. I mean, you think about even like preceding the popularity of tools like ChatGPT, that AI chatbots and things like that have been around for a little while. And so it's not going away, and we're definitely not encouraging you to not use it. But kind of as we illustrated earlier, creating really good, authentic content, whether it's more produced or kind of just more homegrown, is really going to help you build better relationships with your communities. And that is super important, especially in today's day and age when so much is digital and detached. So that would be my one closing remark. I don't know. Anything else, Lindy?
That's good. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and be in touch. Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.